Welcome to the TLW podcast. Sean Owens here with Jace Augustus. Jace, how we doing?
I'm good, brother.
Guy on the seat over there, y'all know that face, Coach Pixley. Y'all, we're gonna have some fun today. This is a bit of a deviation from what we've done in the past.
A bit. Yeah.
A very large deviation from what we've done in the past. So, Coach Pixley's sitting in the seat right now because he has some significant life events that came up as of recent. And we talked about it, we prayed about it, and we weren't sure if we should do this and if we should win. And after getting some word back from above, we decided now is the moment for sure. Coach, I don't want to steal your thunder and jump into this too much, but Coach Pixley had a bit of a health crisis that popped up a week and a half ago. Something he'd been walking through for a while. And obviously, there's color in his cheeks. We got veins popping in his arms again. So
They started to come back.
Working over
This will be a minute.
all of that's present. But Coach, if you wouldn't mind, could you spend a little bit of time talking with our viewers about initially what things were like a week and a half ago, and then a little bit of a brief background on what led to that?
Yeah, let's just go through the timeline. I think that's probably the easiest way to do this. And I was, as we spoke about initially, I was uncomfortable doing this because for anybody who knows me, I really don't like to make things about me. That the same thing goes for you guys, right? I think that's what makes our team special. But after speaking to you all about it, and after obviously praying about it, and after speaking to my wife about it, it's an awareness thing, right? Most importantly, I think if this helps make people aware of how things can happen so quickly and unexpectedly, then I think it's a win for us at this point. But I'm going to try to make a long story short here, if possible. But really, the end of October, very beginning of November, I started experiencing. I got sick, and I had a virus, and went to the doctor and was treated for the flu ultimately, and got the steroid shot, the amoxicillin, everything that you would get. And that part dissipated, but I always remember thinking back going, man, that felt different. That virus felt different, right? I've had the flu before. We've all had the flu before, right? And so while I was treated for the flu, I'm still not sure that that's what it was. Come to find out, it's probably not what it was. And then about a month and a half later, it was about mid-December, I go back to the doctor because for a few weeks leading up to that, I had started experiencing significant shortness of breath. And I would go into the gym, and anybody who has been in the gym when I work out, like I'm not going in there like a maniac, but I'm gonna go get it, right, while we're in there. And I'm doing something every day, right? And I'm gonna break a real sweat, and I have a purpose while I'm in there. Well, I really was limited as to what I could do effectively in the gym. Then it really bled over into my sleep. I couldn't sleep. And it was just a real struggle, experiencing a ton of fatigue. And I kept telling my wife, and I would only tell her because I don't want to burden people with it, but I just I'm not right. Something's off. Something's not right. I've never felt like this before. And so it was probably a couple of weeks later when it got really, really bad, to the point where sleeping at all was a struggle, and getting a deep breath easily was non-existent. I would get on a bike in the gym, for example, because I'm still going to the gym, right? And I would get on a bike in the gym and be barely pedaling, and my heart rate would be up to like 160, 170, which is not where my heart rate exists, okay? So not this past Sunday, but 2 Sundays ago. And now keep in mind, that Sunday, I came off of 2 days before where I had slept maybe an hour or 2 each of those nights. Again, can't breathe. I'm having to sit up while I'm breathing, like in a chair almost, sit up while I'm sleeping. And that Sunday night, it was about 9 o'clock at night, and I tell my wife, I'm like, look, I'm going to go in the guest bedroom because I'm not going to keep you awake, right? I'm not going to be able to sleep tonight. I already knew I wasn't going to sleep awake, okay? Go in the guest bedroom, and it's like I'm taking a Lamaze class. Like I'm really breathing abnormally. I had a doctor's appointment set up that Monday. So what I didn't want to do was go to the emergency room before I got to that doctor, because we all know, like, if You go to a doctor's appointment and they send you to the emergency room, kind of paves the way, and it's a lot easier, right?
So you knew, yeah, you had a strong feeling at that point that you were going to be needing to go see somebody beyond just a traditional checkup. Then.
I knew there was probably a chance,
Yeah.
right?
Okay.
And if there's a chance, then I'm going to make sure I get to that doctor's appointment. But on a couple of occasions, I almost went and woke up my wife, Donna, and said, no, we need to
going
go,
there.
right?
Yeah.
And so that morning, Monday morning, go to see Dr. Phil Paget down in Port Allen, who is incredible, the best, okay? And he walks in the room, and I've known Dr. Paget for a long time. He walks in the room, he looks at me, does a couple of tests, and he walks out, talks to his team. And this all happens within 5 minutes. He walks back in and he goes, "You're in high AFib. We have an ambulance coming to get you to take you to the ER right now. This has to get dealt with today." I get to the ER at Our Lady of the Lake, and cardiologist walks in after I've seen a couple of other doctors, and I'm going to say his name on air, Dr. Martin Merrick. He has been a godsend. He's been unbelievable. Young doctor, cardiologist who, I can't say enough about him, okay? He walks into me and he goes, basically starts with, he's really dry, okay? And he's like, "Are you aware that you're in congestive heart failure?" I said, "Well, I'm not, I just know I can't breathe," right? And he said, "Can you lay flat and breathe normally?" I said, "No, I can't, I can barely breathe when I lay flat." He goes, "That's a telltale sign that you're in congestive heart failure." I would have never known that. Mm-hmm. I would have never known anything like that. That's been going on for months for me, okay? And he goes, "Yeah, so here's what's happened." After I told him the whole story, he said, "You've basically been in congestive heart failure for a couple of months and you're just trying to do your normal thing. And because your heart isn't operating like it's supposed to, you have all this fluid buildup, and ultimately your heart is enlarged, and it's I'm not going to try to get into the medical side of it because I don't understand all of it, but I had a fluid buildup to the point where once they got the fluid out of me a couple of days later, I had lost 24 pounds, and it was fluid, okay? My neck was big, my stomach was distended. Tuesday was the worst day. They did a couple of tests, and according to my wife, she had gone and run him down and said, "Look, you just have to shoot me straight. This is the worst we've ever seen him look." I had friends and family coming in, and they would look at me and start crying. It was crazy. I'm like, I guess I didn't realize I was that bad, right? And she told him flat out, "No, your husband is very, 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 very sick. If we don't get these procedures done today, we're having a different discussion." And that discussion starts with a different facility where, we may even talk about a transplant. There's all kind of crazy things that may have to happen, but we have to get this stuff done today. And obviously me sitting here with you guys now, that none of that came to fruition because of the amazing medical care that I received. But just the timing of all of it was nuts. Obviously, God decided to save my life and let me come on and tell this story. But the timeline went where I went in on Monday, and then I was in ICU basically until Thursday. And then I went home on Thursday and have been on just kind of closely monitored care since then. Today I got some good news from Dr. Merrick that I'm going to be released to do a little bit more stuff. But yeah, that's how it all went down.
So in listening to that, a question comes up. And I try to keep in mind what people are thinking as he's saying all this. And honestly, you're a super detailed guy. You're precise about everything. You're watchful of everything. I mean, we both played for you, and I don't think there was anything we ever did that we were if we did something in a game, we messed up, we were like, "Pix all that."
I couldn't get away with anything.
And so I guess my question is, man, is you said this is months, you can't lay down. Months that you're something's not right. Not being able to lay down, that's a big not right. You know what I mean? That's not, that's very abnormal. What kind of caused you to, for lack of better words, shrug that off?
Well, initially, like I said, I went to see a doctor, right? And it was treated as, and I wasn't to the point where I couldn't breathe then, okay? When I went to see the second doctor mid-December, I was told it was probably some post-viral symptoms, potentially, which are normal, right? And those things can last for up to months. Yeah. But I still wasn't to the point that I got to, yeah. Right? And I guess, I don't know, man, when you tell me, if you tell me, okay, this is what it is, I'm going to go, okay, I guess I'll just suck it up for a little while and it'll be gone. And yeah. That's it. I mean, I don't consider myself a soft individual, but that's not what this is about. This wasn't about being tough. It was about, I'm gathering information and here I am and okay, I'm good. It'll be fine. Yeah. And I to a fault. And I know as males we do this, okay? But to a fault, I didn't want to burden my family with it. Yeah. I didn't want to burden, the people around me with it. I don't want to burden you guys with it. It was, okay, it'll be fine. It'll be fine. I'll move on and everything will be all right until I get to taking a little miles class that Sunday night. It's like,
yeah. So the next slogan hurt you a little bit. Like, all right, next day, man. I can't sleep today. Yeah. Tomorrow.
I want to dive into that for a second. So I can laugh about it now, but I get a text message when I think either when you were about to leave Phil Padgett's office or when you got to the hospital, something along the lines of, "Hey, man." Because we'd had a Zoom call the day beforehand. And you're like, look, I got to go to the doctor. Things aren't right. And you were having trouble breathing when we were on the Zoom call together. And I get the text message, hey, man, I'm going to make this really quick. I'm in AFib. I've got to go to the emergency room, get this checked out. Just remember, you're going to run the Red Storm mindset stuff tomorrow, and we'll take care of whatever we got to take care of on Wednesday. And basically, I got my bullet points of the things that need to continue going. And so I love it because despite everything going on in the storm that was brewing, the mindset that you still had was, okay, this still needs to happen, this still needs to happen, this still needs to happen, which I think it's really cool. And I think that ties into the recovery that you've had because, there's a lot of people that they get into a circumstance in a situation like that, and suddenly it's like a doom and gloom, woe is me. But that next mindset, I think, is really significant. And it's like, okay, yeah, look, I don't know what's going on. I'm not sure where things go from here, but there's still work to be done. And let's focus on doing these things and getting these tasks addressed. So,
yeah, when we have responsibilities to our clients, right? And I mean, I know it sounds so crazy when I say that, but like, okay, I'm not dead. Yeah. Like I'm breathing. I can text you and just go, hey man, this is where I'm going. Will you take care of this? And you guys did. I think I'm not necessarily saying that it's the complete right thing to do, but at the same time, I mean, we had a slogan when you guys played for me, no excuses, do the work, right? Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, I had an excuse, but there was still work to be done. So I just looked at it and said, okay, this is why I have two amazing partners. So let me delegate this thing and let's go make sure this gets taken care of. Just because once I get in the hospital, I don't know how I'm going to be able to communicate this, that, the other. Yeah. Now it drives some people around me crazy, right? But at the same time, I don't know. I just feel like if I'm able to breathe and I'm able to function, I'm able to think, and I'm alert enough to be able to communicate, well, let's communicate and get things taken care of.
Yeah.
So that kind of leads into our next question. So one of our core principles is to control the controllables. But this was not anything that was in your control at all. This is completely out of your control. A health crisis, you being there, like you said, just taking medical advice, that's not in your control. So what's on your mind as you're going through that? And then how does faith play a role in that?
Man, that's a $1 million question right there. The fact that it was a virus that attacked my heart, that I had no control over. I mean, the number of people, medical staff, people who know me, that's one thing. but the number of people who didn't know me that would walk into the room while I was in ICU and go, "What are you doing in here?" Right? Because, from a conditioning standpoint, I've taken care of myself. I've done, and I remember my doctor telling me, and he started tearing up when he was telling me. He's like, you've done it all right, and it still happened. It just shows you like these are things that you can't necessarily control. And so when and you guys could probably vouch for this, I do struggle with control from time to time, right? Okay. So because I do,
I don't know what you're talking
when,
about.
Yeah, what?
when things, yeah, so I'm texting you on the way to the ER, right? Yeah, yeah.
In
So,
the ambulance. Hey guys, I just want-
so when it's out of my control, I know that there's a couple of things that I can rely on, and only that I can rely on, right? I can rely on my family, and I can rely on my extended family, which obviously you guys are a part of, and I can rely on my faith.
Yeah.
And that last one is the first one, because without that one, the other two don't exist, right? And so I think, and I know this is going to sound crazy, but I experienced this one other time to this degree, and that was my career-ending knee injury, which was not life-threatening, right? But it was a career-ending knee injury, and I remember the feeling, and it was I never got to the point where I was concerned about whatever was going to happen next. Okay. I did tell my wife on a couple of occasions during the time leading up to going to that doctor's appointment on Monday that I was scared, that it was starting to scare me. Okay. But I just remember once the decision was made by Dr. Paget and I'm off and going to the ER, okay, God, I know you got it. I mean, whatever it's going to be, right? If it's me not being here and you taking care of my family, that's what it is. If it's me being here and continuing to be able to do this, then that's what it is as well. But I never felt uneasy, and I think that I can only attribute that to faith.
Yeah, and again, that leads into the next thing is you're going through all this, and you're saying life-threatening. I want you to like kind of dive into like how life-threatening is this, and then as you're going through that, and you're hearing the doctors, and you're seeing people cry when they come in, and you eventually go to that. Is this the end part? Like, what's the number one thing on your mind? Like you got a billion things on your plate, but it's those experiences have a way of simplifying everything where it's about like what really matters. It's like, what's the number one thing that's on your mind in those moments?
So I'll be honest, I never got to the point where I thought this was the end. I did get to the point where I was like, wow, I must be a lot worse off than I thought when people would walk in and see me, right? But I think, again, relying on God, relying on my faith, and looking at the situation, I knew that this was something different than I had ever experienced. And when, I feel like the phrase life-threatening get tossed around really, really easily.
I think this qualifies more than other things we talked about on the program, more so than anything else. But
Maybe so. And I agree. But I just look at it and I go, okay, the communication from the doctors was that if A, B, and C don't happen,
yeah,
then we don't know what D looks like. Okay. Or we're worried about what D looks like. Okay. And so I maybe it was life-threatening at some point in time. I know this, that I was told flat out that if I were not in the condition that I was in when I went into all the procedures, and I wasn't, and I hadn't taken care of myself up to that point, I was told flat out, yes, you could have died. Okay. The irony in me talking about the condition that I was in, I had built up so much fluid that I remember I never weigh myself ever. Okay. But I remember thinking, man, I feel heavy, this, that, the other. And I weighed myself in the workout room a couple times, and I had put on a lot of weight, and it was literally the fluid. But I'm sitting here thinking, okay, doc tells me it's post-viral symptoms. Maybe I'm just getting a little bit older. Maybe that's what it is. Maybe I got to watch my diet a little more or whatever. Had nothing to do with it.
Yeah.
But as far as getting to the end, I never got there, but I will say this. When I saw how people reacted to me, okay, I knew that something was going to have to change. And I knew that I'm not going to go into, and this is not going to be one of those things where, well, woe is me, look what almost happened to me. And so that gives me the excuse to back away from everything and slow down completely. And this, no, what it does not give me the excuse, what it gives me the mandate to do is to make sure that I'm paying careful attention to everything that I am doing when I am doing it, as opposed to being in this incredible rush to get to this point or this point or this point. And probably to smell the roses a little bit more. I don't know if y'all remember when Ryan Terrio came on, one of our first guests, right? And he said if he could look back and tell, his teenage self that's what he would tell him, is to enjoy the moments more. There's some of that. But to me, I think the majority of it is be thankful that I'm here. Be thankful that God decided to give me more time. Be thankful that to have the amazing family and support system that I have. But probably maybe try to be a little bit more organized and cognizant of taking a little more time, right, in each and everything that we do. Because y'all know how I am. Y'all are wired similarly. I want to get 1 million things done a day, right? And if I get to 999,999, I'm pissed, right? Well, it just shouldn't be that way.
Yeah.
So I guess that was a really long way of answering your question, but yeah.
No, good answer though. Great
That's
answer.
right on. All right, so hindsight, and you spoke earlier about some of the things like not being on the lay flat that you experienced. Are there any other signs or symptoms that our viewers, now that you're on the other side of things, that you look back and you say, I probably could have paid closer attention to this, or I could have paid closer attention to that. Any signs or symptoms that you can share with us?
Yeah, I got to the point where I struggled to swallow food. Not to the point where I was like choking, but like it was just an effort to get it down, right? And I should have made that a bigger thing, because that would have let me. Somebody would have looked at me and go, "Yeah, you got a ton of fluid in your throat, or wherever." So that was one thing. Obviously, like, why in the world I would get on a stationary bike, which I hate the stationary bike, but it was like the only thing I could do without feeling exhausted. And I get on the stationary bike as opposed to an elliptical, right? That's what I like to do, because I want to be upright whenever I'm doing cardio. And see my heart rate go up to 160, 170 and go, oh, I guess that's
This machine sucks.
I guess that's okay.
It's obviously not me.
I guess that's okay. No, that's not right. What are you doing? Yeah.
But let me jump into that for just a second. I think what's so tough is this is just basically a microcosm of so many things in life, where it's not like this happened overnight. It's a
Right.
very gradual onset.
Yeah.
And so because it's an onset, it's a drift.
Yeah.
It's a drift. And it's so tough for us as humans, especially driven human beings, are so task oriented or so goal oriented, to recognize that, like, when this drift happens, like, you're a lot worse off with this than you were a week ago, 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, 4 weeks ago. But it doesn't happen immediately overnight. And it's because it doesn't happen immediately overnight, we don't notice it as much. And so it's I think it's great that we get someone who's the ultimate goal-oriented individual who can look back, and now you can say, yeah, that wasn't right, but you don't fully let it seep in as abnormal in the moment, because the day before it was bad, but it was just a little bit less bad. If that makes sense.
And the doctors told me this, and it makes perfect sense, that what saved me was the condition that I had gotten myself into. But it's also what kept me out of the hospital for longer.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Because it was like, okay, I'm good. I'll be all right. And pay attention. You can't swallow your food. You've gained 20 pounds, right? And you're not fat, but you're heavier than you normally are, right? These are signs.
Yeah.
Like, pay attention to them. What are you doing, right? The thing was, I had seen, doctors points that I'd seen them, hadn't gotten to that point, and so they're looking at me like everybody else is. Oh, he's fine.
Mhm.
So let me ask you this: what's the line now for you between no excuses, do the work, and like being a human being? like
Go back and reshoot that episode. No,
yeah, like being hard on yourself but at the same time like listening to yourself.
I think that's another good question, man. I'm not sure yet is the answer. I'm not sure. I'm most certainly capable. We're all capable of making change, right? And we can make changes based on necessity. I know, for example, for the next 3 months, okay, and some change, I'm going to be limited as to what I can do when I go exercise. I'm on a low sodium diet, which God, it sucks. It's so awful. Okay, and it might be the most miserable thing I'm
What's
doing.
the hardest thing to like cut out?
Salt,
No, but like what makes like what's so difficult about it?
because you can't taste anything, and so it's like
You told me the other day your chicken and your rice and your broccoli all tasted
it
the same.
tasted the same, man. And I'm looking and look, and we can laugh about this now, right? Because I'm eating the food, and my wife, I can feel her across the room looking at me, and I turn and look, and she's laughing at me. I was like, this is just not right. It's just not right. You can't laugh at me about this, right? And so, yeah, if you told me, because I do enjoy, I have a glass of wine with my wife every once in a while. I like a cup of coffee in the morning, right? If you told me eliminate the super occasional alcohol, your caffeine and salt, I'd be like, those first two, you can have forever.
Yeah.
Give me the salt, right? So I can taste food. But no, I think it's, getting back to your question initially, I think it's, I'm going to have to make these changes for the next probably 90 days, 90 to 100 days. And then they go back in and they do another ultrasound and see what it is. And then it's hard for me to say, if my wife watched this, she'd be so ticked. But if you tell me at that point, hey, your heart's fully recovered, which again, I'm glad it was a virus and not out of the blue, right? Because that means it's recoverable according to doctors. If you tell me at that point, like, okay, you're good. I mean, I don't know. I don't know if I'm going to make a whole ton of changes. I think it's going to be more along the lines of what's necessitated by the data that's given with that. But look, we get to live this thing one time, right? And there's a lot of people who quit really early on this whole life thing, and they'll use any excuse they can to get away from the responsibility that they have of using the abilities that God has given them. And to me, that's the tragedy. That's the travesty. And it's something I'm not willing to do. If I have to slow down a little bit, okay, that's fine. It may just take me a little bit longer to get where I want to get, but I'm still going there regardless.
Love it, man. So what's next now? What changes for you? If anything changes, what changes for you professionally, personally? Just how are you moving forward with this?
Make the changes that the doctors have mandated, like I said, for this time period. And look, some of these changes may end up being lifelong changes, okay? I swear if it's the low sodium diet, I'm not sure what I'm going to do, but if it is.
Somebody check on Pix, man.
Okay.
Yeah.
Look,
It's in the tone of saturated to fix.
look, I still got one daughter to walk down the aisle. I've walked one down. I've got one more to walk down. If you told me you got to do a low sodium diet forever to do it, look, I mean, obviously, right?
Yeah.
I'll do whatever I have to do to be around for my crew. But I'm going to tell you right now, from a professional standpoint, I want to keep building this thing with you guys. That's what I want to do, and I'm looking forward to it. And I'm glad I'm sitting here with y'all right now talking about this. Again, I was uneasy about it at the beginning, but I think it's a matter of, it's kind of the combination, right? Of, okay, next, no excuses, do the work, the grind, the get up at 4:30 in the morning, the workouts, the meditation, and you know what? all of those things can still happen and still be a part of it. They may just look a little different, right? I remember having the conversation with my doctor where he's telling me, you need to stop worrying so much about lifting weights and the workouts and the exercise, this, that, the other. And I said, Doc, the reason you're telling me to do that is the same reason why I did it to begin with, was to be healthy for my crew, right? And so that's the part I have a hard time with. But again, like I said, all of the things that I listed before, I think they still exist. I think they're still a part of my life. I think they're still a part of what we do. It just may look a little bit different. And if it looks a little bit different, then so be it. Maybe it ends up being a more efficient way to get to the end goal, whatever it is. But I just know, like I said earlier, no matter what they tell me I can or cannot do, I'm going to make sure that I'm doing everything I can to be here for my family, whatever that is, right? To be around here for my family. And I'm going to be smart about it. And I'm going to have things that I want to go get. And so we're going to go get them.
I got one more for you.
Yeah.
That's cool, Sean.
Please.
So we hear people all the time say, I would take a bullet for my family, but then they won't work out for their family. They won't wake up early for their family. They won't provide for their family. And so how does the love you have for your crew, which is a very unique type of love, how's that carried you through everything? And how's that propelling you forward?
You're going to try to mess me up with this one, aren't you? They're my lifeline here on earth. I told my wife the other day, she was beating herself up about not pushing me to go sooner. And I told her, I said, you don't realize you saved my life. You and the girls. And she said, how can you say that? And it kind of circles back to a question that you had asked me maybe 3 or 4 questions ago. While I never got to the point where I thought about the end, I know this. The Tuesday of that week, that was the worst day, where people were walking in and looking at me and crying, and I saw my 3 girls hurt. And I saw them hurt in a way I had never seen them hurt before. And they were concerned that I wasn't going to be around anymore. And my 3 girls, they're not criers. And I saw all 3 of them do that day. And I knew something was wrong. And not only did that alert me to that, it alerted me to the fact of how important they view me in their lives, which, look, I mean, Sean, obviously you have kids. Jace someday, I'm sure, just got married. We have people in our lives that we know we really don't deserve, right? And I know 100% I don't deserve the crew that I have. But to see the depth of feeling that they had in those moments, if I could ever feel more blessed than that, I don't know what it feels like. And so just feeling that blessing of going from that moment to them seeing the turnaround and seeing the exhalation on their part and seeing the relief on their part, I don't ever want them to see me like that again. I don't ever want them to hurt like that again. I don't ever want them to feel that again. My youngest daughter, Kaylin, walked into the house, walked into my room on Thursday evening when I had gotten home. And she said, okay, and look, I got two daughters, Hannah and Kaylin, that are, and y'all know them, they are freaking studs now, okay? And they are tough as nails. And she walks into my room and she's like, okay, here's what we're going to do. And I said, okay, what you got? And she's like, well, because she's an amazing cook. And she says, I've got a menu laid out for you here. I'm going to cook this for you in your low sodium diet. And, Saturday's your cheat day. So I'm going to be able to cook pancakes for you, this, that, the other. And we're going to get this right. And then this is what we're going to do. And she finished with, because I'm not going to see you like that again. Mm-hmm. I'm not going to see you hooked up to all that stuff again. We're not doing that again. And, I've had equally significant moments obviously with my wife and with my other daughter, Hannah, as well. So sorry for the length of the answer, but it was the fact that I always knew I was blessed, and then I watched this happen, and I watch how they react to it, and I feel it, and I'm like, I can't go anywhere. I can't go anywhere, and not only am I not going anywhere, whenever I get right again, they're going to continue to get all of me. It is reality check. Reality check.
No, that's so good. I think if we all knew how much we were loved by those who depend on us, we would all have a different perspective on how we spend the moments and what the significance of are those individual moments. I just got back from a class I was in Florida for a week, and one of our instructors is an incredible guy, been through a lot, incredible guy, and his line that he closed a lot of his talks out with was that he's become incredibly stingy with heartbeats. And it's stuck with me because it's on the heels of everything that you're going through, but there's a lot of philosophy associated with this class. But at the end of the day, if our viewers and listeners at the very least can take away one message from all this, is that there is a very finite amount of time we have in this world. We have no control. We like to be in control. We'd like to have plans, but at the end of the day, there is one greater than us who is in control. And because we are surrendering our will to him, he can do and with our life what he pleases. At the end of the day, recognizing that and being very intentional about how we spend those moments, there is nothing more significant than can be gotten out of this podcast, I don't think, than the recognition people can have for that.
And you hit that on the head. And, Jason, a minute ago when you asked me the question about, people talk about taking a bullet for their crew, but they won't go do this and won't go do that. You're 100% right. God could decide at any point in time that this was my last breath or your last breath or your last breath, right? Okay. But because he didn't, we view it as disobedient to not use the gifts that he has given us. And guys, men that are out there right now, who maybe you struggle physically, maybe you struggle mentally, emotionally, spiritually, whatever it is, okay? There are so many resources that we have that there are no excuses. There are no excuses to not be the best version of yourself. Doesn't mean you're never going to be negative. It doesn't mean that you're never going to experience, tough days, this, that, the other. And depression, all those things are very, very real, right? But we have decisions to make every single day that can affect our lifespan and our ability to function and our ability to influence and our ability to impact, people in your business world and clients and this and that, and that's great. Mm-hmm. But the people who are closest to you.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And I think we look at that backwards, mm-hmm. right? As men, and we pawn it off to, well, I'm providing for my family. right? And that's great. And I want you to do that. And that's huge. And it is part of your responsibility. But God dang, take care of yourself.
Yeah.
Take care of yourself for the people that you claim to be providing for, right? There's no reason not to. It's laziness, it's selfishness, it's inconsiderate, it's all things that you could flip on a whim if you decided to.
And I think the weirdest part about all that, just a lack of taking care of yourself, is that it's incredibly selfish, but at the same time, it shows a lack of care you have about yourself.
Yes.
It's a very unique thing, and I think it all just boils down to lack of discipline.
Yes.
One of my favorite verses in the Bible, it says that a man without discipline is like a city with no walls that gets broken into. And so if you do not have the discipline daily to work out in some capacity, or to eat decently healthy, or to spend time with your family, or provide, like all those things, work hard, like those are basics of life as a man, especially as a biblical man. Mm-hmm. And so like if you're not doing any of those things, like you said, get some help, like find resources, because like everyone has the answers, right? If someone needs to lose weight, they're not an idiot. Like you know what you're supposed to do. You eat less, you move more. Yeah. If you need to put on muscle, you eat more protein and lift heavier weight. Like it's very simple. We all have the answers. It's about who's actually going to do it and show up consistently.
And it's not rocket science. And the other part, I heard somebody say this the other day. They're like, well, I'm just not that important. No, you're right. You're not. You're not. None of us are in the grand scheme of things. But in your world,
to somebody, there is somebody in
your
your world.
Yes. You're the most important
You're the
thing.
hero,
Yeah. And so who doesn't want to be the hero? You know, like who doesn't want to be the hero? Yeah. So I'm with y'all. And this has been a good thing from an awareness standpoint. I agree. But I think that most importantly, man, if I had anything, and maybe I'm stealing thunder from a question, I hope not. Okay. But if I had anything to take from my experience, and you said, what's the one thing you take from it that you would want people to know? Okay. It would be really, really simple. Get yourself going and cherish the time that you have while you're going. But go.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Right? Yeah. But go at the same time. Some people would listen to that and go, what do you mean? That put you in the hospital? No, it didn't. No, it didn't. It saved my life.
Saved your life, bro. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
No, it didn't put me in the hospital. Okay? Some random virus that came out of nowhere, that's what put me in the hospital. Okay? What kept me alive, apparently, was what I had done before that. Right? What puts you guys in the position you're in right now is because of what the decisions you're making on a daily basis. And so get yourself going and cherish the time that you have while you're going. But go. But go.
Love it, Jace.
I love it.
Close this out.
Me?
Yeah, you want me to do it?
Hey, man, I'll close it out. It's my first time closing it out, man. Well, that's everything from the TLW podcast. This has been one of my favorite episodes. I don't know if that's because I'm on it or because...
Probably is.
or because it means so much, man. And so thank you for being vulnerable. Thank you for coming out. Yeah. And like really just leaving it all out there, man. So that's it from us. We'll see you guys next time. Go get it.